Good morning, boys and girls. Today, for an introductory book, we have a real introductory book. This was published in the 1990s, and it was made a big splash among certain circles, and nationally, I think it was a bestseller. And this book is called A Path with Heart by Jack Kornfield. Now, this title, A Path with Heart, is something that he got from Carlos Castaneda's descriptions of the teachings of one of his teachers, Don Juan Matus, or it also could have been his other teacher, Juan Gennaro, but I think it's Matus. Anyway, this book is truly for the beginner. It's a very easy read. It's got a lot of nice topics in it. Now, Cornfield, at least the last time I checked, is not an illuminate, but he's the next best thing. A really great guy, very sweet guy. He runs, or used to run, Spirit Rock in Marin, and he was part of the whole heyday of the whole movement of Dharma into the West. Now he's more of a Theravadan kind of guy, on mindfulness, so on and so forth. With regard to becoming enlightened, so as to provide that for all sentient beings, that's more of a Mahayana concept, and that's what's called the greater vehicle of Buddhism. At any rate, if you want a real easy intro, or you want to introduce a kid or a sibling or a businessman or something like that, this book is a very easy read and a nice intro and an overview. A Path with Heart, Jack Kornfield. Okay, what have you learned?
Some minor things. One is I have conflicting thoughts and I still believe both of them.
Good.
I do.
That's okay.
For example,
all right, go ahead.
I have one instance where few months ago I literally had my wisdom teeth removed, and I for sure knew that I didn't have any pain. Like, it just took 5-10 minutes and no pain at all. Like, I was even surprised. Why did it take so less time?
Lucky you.
Yet,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I'm grateful for that with all the anesthesia we have today. But on the other hand, there is another thought that still says that it was definitely painful. And it says this through the authority of whatever I see in media, the patient screaming and various other things. Like, I must have had 8 or 9 out of 10 level of pain. Yet that's wrong. Like, I know for a fact that was not what happened, but I still believe this thought, like both of them. Why?
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, this shows the usefulness of belief. Belief is a very shallow thing. That's why in this work we prefer knowledge. Belief is easy to come by and easy to lose, easy to manipulate, and easy to it's just the thought brain. Knowledge is something deeper than belief, and experience is here. There's a Sufi story I think that addresses this quite well. The Mullah Nasruddin was at home one day and he heard a knock on the door, and it was his neighbor. And the Mullah opens the door to his humble little house, and his neighbor there says, "Hi, Mullah, I wonder if I can borrow your donkey." The Mullah says, "I'm sorry, I can't loan you my donkey. My cousin borrowed him. He's at my cousin's house." At that moment, from the backyard came up, "Bah," or the sound of a donkey. Right? And the neighbor, looked at the Mullah and says, "Mullah, I just heard your donkey braying in the backyard." The Mullah says to his neighbor, "Who are you going to believe, me or a donkey?" So who are you going to believe? The people you talk to or a jackass?
No one.
Okay, you could do that too. Or you could just believe if you didn't have pain, you didn't have pain. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you don't trust your experience, then what do you trust?
So what?
No, it's a
what I
serious
mean by
question.
that
If you
is,
don't trust your experience, then what do you trust?
I trust whatever is happening right now. And there is nothing to trust there as well because it already happened.
That's one way to live, I suppose. Okay, I've never heard of that, but if you want to believe that, believe it. See how it works out. That's fine.
Okay.
As far as it goes,
still,
right? You believe what's happening right now, but do you know what's happening right now?
like, what do you mean by I know? Whatever is happening right now. Then everything else is just descriptions so that I can convey those things to others. Yet it's not. It's not exactly what that's happening. I was thinking also about what does it.
What's
like,
happening
when
right now in
people
North
talk about-
Dakota?
I don't know. Maybe
Kashmir.
a wind blowing somewhere.
Maybe. So
Wind blowing somewhere.
you trust what you can see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears in the present? As a matter of fact, right now is not something you're privy to in your current state of mind. Right now for you is about 200 milliseconds, which is quite a bit of time actually, at least from the present. Everything you see or hear or whatever is delayed by about 1/5 of a second. Now, there are states of consciousness where you can be in the present, but that's something different. That's Satori, nor Kensho or Moksha. And what you have in the present, although it may look the same superficially, it's not the same thing at all. I was reading Shoben Genzo Dojin this morning, and they described the universe as one bright jewel. The whole thing, everything is one bright jewel. But you're not seeing the one bright jewel. You're seeing fragments of it, pieces of it. And that's why it's so confusing for people, because their mind is fragmentary. And what they perceive is just little flat fragments, slivers of reality.
But what do you mean by that? Like, whatever I see right now, whatever is happening in front of my eyes, it's not happening independently.
Bright jewel. The universe is one bright jewel. I think it's a beautiful expression, a nice way to put it.
Like, theoretically, I kind of get it. It's saying everything's one because everything's interconnected with one another. There's no way to separate things.
No, that's not what it. I mean, that's also true, but that's not what it's saying. And you can't, according to Dojin, you can't. And I tend to agree with this. You can't try to get this. This will come up on its own. This understanding. You know, if you look at a jewel, it has little fragments in it. You know, it has little reflections and refractions and little luminosities and all that other stuff. That's what these are. And me and you and all that other stuff. It's one bright jewel. That's also a little bit past the non-dual understanding. But just leave it in your head. Just leave it there. One bright jewel.
One bright jewel.
I think that's beautifully put. Okay, sir?
Yeah.
Now don't break your head thinking about one bright jewel. Just have that phrase in the back of your mind, one bright jewel. Just like you should have that donkey in the back of your mind when you're trying to ascertain whether you're going to believe something you read, something someone said, or your direct experience. This world is magnificent because we never run out of if you want them, there are layers and layers and layers and layers of truth. I mean, relative truths until you get to an absolute truth. So you can have fun with it. And you do have to get by in the world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, questions?
So for last few days, I actually again had a health anxiety, and that usually happens whenever I feel some abnormal feeling, sensation in my body, and my mind just starts overthinking and goes to internet and sees things. And
Would you rather die suddenly or die slowly and painfully?
I would prefer sudden death.
Sudden death?
But again, I don't know.
You prefer sudden death?
And that's because I fear pain more than death.
Oh, you do? Oh, you fear pain more than
Yes.
death. Okay, so you prefer sudden death. So what's your health anxiety about?
About that there are some symptoms, and it could be because of the symptoms could be because of cancer or could be something else. And because of this symptom, which will eventually evolve into a disease, full-blown disease, and it will eventually lead to me being disabled, like maybe getting a stroke or not able to do something.
Or sudden death?
And maybe, yeah, but honestly, sudden death is preferable.
Okay. Okay, go ahead if you say so. Go ahead.
And yeah, it will be a life
At the
of
bottom
pain.
of all those fears, what is there? What's the fear of all fears?
Fear of all fears. The loss of life.
Yeah.
Fear of death.
Death, yeah. But death is coming for you, my friend. It's coming for you. It's got your name, it's got your number. But see, you're not going to die. You don't know who you are, but you're afraid of losing it.
Exactly because of that, I was diving a bit deeper into it. Why am I so afraid of it? And
Okay, good.
I came across few beliefs that I have. Those strong beliefs that make me think. One of them being two major things. One being life is sadistic. It will make me suffer in future a lot, in the form of like painful diseases or anything, and won't even leave me after my death.
Wait a minute. The first part is true. The second part, what's that about? I don't know if I'd call it sadistic. I'd say it's indifferent to your suffering.
Yeah. Even I noticed this line of thinking was fully personal. I
So
took
should
it
you-
fully personal there.
What? What's personal?
No.
You think
When
you're the
I
only one
said,
that's going to die?
life
You're the
is-
only one that's going to suffer?
No, I noticed the fact that this belief, life is sadistic, is personal, when in reality nothing's personal.
Oh, I
I
see.
think so.
Okay. So you believe that personally?
I believe life is sadistic, but I also know that.
Sadistic is
Why
the
am
wrong
I-
word. Sadistic is the wrong word.
Okay.
How about indifferent to your suffering?
it is indifferent.
Okay. All right, good. All right, now what? What's the next belief?
Next belief is I can't change anything. Like, even if I see my health report, I know for sure that nothing would have improved.
No matter what
Like,
you
there is
do, if
this
you eat
helpless.
healthy, exercise, study the right stuff, and none of those things will help you.
Not necessarily related to study, but yeah,
So you're
kind
like
of
a
related to
cosmic
health.
victim.
Mm.
A helpless cosmic victim.
How am I a victim here? Like,
Well,
I
you
didn't
say
get the
that you're going to
perspective. Like,
suffer. You say that life is suffering, which you've known from the very beginning. That's the first noble truth, right? The first noble truth of the Buddha is that suffering exists.
yes,
So why is this a revelation to you? Or are you thinking like a
because
child? Are you thinking like a child? Oh, I can't do anything about it. Suffering exists. What about the second noble truth? What about the third noble truth?
and I think the reason why I do that is right
Indulgence,
now I don't
self-indulgence,
have that feeling.
self-indulgence and self-importance.
Sorry,
Self-indulgence and self-importance. Do you know how many people
that
are
doesn't
suffering
feel
in the
like.
world right now and you don't know anything about them and you don't care anything about them? Are you accusing the world? Are you accusing nature? Or is nature accusing you? Is the world accusing you?
Nothing, none of them.
I don't know,
Like,
man.
at least
The world is an abode of
I mean,
truth.
look,
The world is an abode of truth for a man or a woman that's truthful with it. I don't think you're being truthful with it. On one hand, you say there's nothing I can do, but you try and run and hide, and then you seek relief, right? At the same time, you believe there's nothing you can do to relieve it, but yet you run off to other people and say, "Relieve my suffering." And then, if you have some grace, right, like you had your wisdom teeth out without any pain or suffering, you doubt that, and instead you go someplace else to get somebody else's opinion on whether or not you had pain or not. That's crazy talk, man. You got to sober up and grow up. Life is hard. Life is
but
suffering. We know the causes of suffering. We know a way to transcend that suffering. And you're doing everything in the opposite direction. Focused on
but like when
you, right? And you don't even know who
yeah,
you
but when
are.
that
You don't even know who you are.
but the question is when that actually happens, it has so much momentum that I can't even think about it.
I
Like,
thought you
I
only
literally
existed in the
feel like
present.
it's maybe I don't
No,
when
right
that
now you just went to
happens.
the future. And before you went to the past.
Yes. But why?
Growing up means facing some realities about life and doing what you can with them. You think Jesus didn't suffer? Buddha didn't suffer?
I don't mind suffering if it's temporary, even if it's
Oh,
for a
you don't
month or two.
mind.
I
You
am
don't
not.
mind, huh? Oh, great. Well,
No,
did you send that memo to God? I don't mind if it's temporary, God?
no,
And that's not true. You do mind if it's temporary. You got to stop lying to
no,
yourself.
no. I don't mind if it's temporary, but my mind always says if this happens, then I will to live forever. That's what it doesn't want.
What?
That, like, if something were to happen, like I became disabled or anything,
Right.
then my mind says that that thing will that's not temporary in a way. Not in a way. It is not temporary.
Okay. Now what are you going to do? Kick
Do
your feet
whatever I
and kick your
can.
feet in the air and ball up your fist and cry? You know, what are you going to do?
No,
Who are you going to go
no,
complain to?
not
There's many,
nobody.
many disabled people in this world, right? And you may be one of
But
them.
wouldn't I be afraid of not getting a job and maybe just die
Okay, you're talking about
miserably? How
hypothetical
can?
fears in the future.
But that will happen.
What will happen?
Like, because I can't get a job or there's no one there for me. Like, I can literally imagine myself
So you'll be on the
right
street
now.
like thousands or millions of other people.
Yeah,
And you'll maybe beg for a living, if you're lucky. And no one will
maybe.
care about you,
Yeah,
just like you don't care about them.
I do care, but yeah,
How much do you care?
I I hope.
This world is giving you a warning, and you're not taking the warning. What you're doing is you're trying to get it, you're trying to not believe that it's true. That yes, you could be disabled. Yes, you could be killed. Yes, you could die of a heart attack. Yes, you could get cancer. The world is telling you these things are all true. And you're trying to find a way out. There's not a way out except to know who and what you are. Otherwise, you're stuck in a body that you know will decay, you know will get ill, you know will start to rot and become disabled. You know all of this. So the world is trying to, like, or the universe is trying to get you to orient yourself to something that's not this superficial identification with your name and your body and your birthplace and your parents and your your job and all this other stuff. It's saying as loud as it can, hey dude, wake up. Oops. Wake up. But you're saying, no, I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. I want to do it the easy way. And I don't know, who are you complaining to? Who are you complaining to? Are you complaining to God?
No one. Because
So then what are you doing?
I'm
What are you
just
doing with this
maybe
one
not.
incredible human life that you've got?
I'm just afraid and running away from it
If you're afraid of life,
because
life will become torture. Have you noticed?
yeah,
If you're just
yes,
preoccupied with yourself as your body and your current mind, you will suffer. Haven't you noticed?
yes,
So, I mean, I don't know. Some people want to suffer. I mean, Freud knew that. Jung talked about that. Some people like it because they know it and they just want to stay there. So if you want to stay there, no one's going to stop you.
I
Otherwise, you
don't
got to grow
think
up.
so.
You don't even know who
Okay,
you
so
are, and you're whining. Find out who you are, and then ask the question again. Right? Because the question changes
yes,
completely. Completely. Do you think I'm being too hard on you?
no, it's
You're a
um,
grown ass man, man. I mean, no one else is going to do this for you.
yeah.
Either they're lost themselves, even if So I don't know what to say. Do you have any questions?
A few from flower ornament.
Okay. The obsession with self will lead to nothing but suffering. The more you're obsessed with yourself, the more you will suffer. And it's not even yourself you're obsessed with. You're obsessed with a false self, a temporary self that's pretty poorly engineered if you look at the software. It's almost engineered to suffer with little respites. depending on your temperament. Okay, what page are you on? Avatamsaka Sutra, flower ornament scripture.
Yeah.
Beautiful sutra for the 1st and 2nd centuries. Translated in the 8th century by the Empress of China. Translated in the 20th century by Thomas Clary. Okay, go ahead. What page?
Yeah, so I'm in the book Chief in Goodness.
Okay, Chief in Goodness. What page is that?
348.
Okay. Frankly, I think you need to be working harder, and you wouldn't have time for this nonsense. You know, people these days, and I'm not blaming them, but the way the world has evolved, they've become to think that things are much, much easier than they really are. 348?
Yeah.
Chief in Goodness. By the way, the ones we've got several recordings, good ones, of different parts of the flower ornament, but in particular, Entry into the Realm of Reality, the last book in the sutra, and these are very, very good for contemplation. I found out, and so you could just sit there and just follow it and let your mind go with it, and cut out some time to do it, and your mind will wander a little bit, or your mind will get frustrated or something, but just stay with it. And gradually, over time, your mind will open to accommodate it. And it's really wonderful stuff. And for people that are too lazy to read, it's a real godsend, but you should read too. You should have the book to go along with it. All right, go ahead, 248.
Yeah, I think this is the verse. It also radiates a light called lamp of wisdom. This light can awaken all beings and cause them to know sentient beings are inherently empty and at rest, and that all things have no existence. Explaining that all things are empty, with no controller, no self, like illusions, like flames, like the moon reflected in the water, and also like dreams or reflected images, is how this light is made.
Keep going.
It also emits a light called mastery of the teachings. This light can awaken all beings and cause them to attain inexhaustible mnemonic command to retain all the teachings of the Buddhas, honoring and supporting the holders of the teachings, serving and protecting the sages and saints, handling on various teachings to beings is how this light is produced.
One more.
Yeah, it also emanates a light called able to relinquish. This light can awaken miserly people, making them realize all wealth is impermanent and enjoy giving without attachment. Able to subdue stubborn stinginess, understanding wealth is like dreams or floating clouds, causing the pure mind of generosity to grow, is how this light is attained.
It also radiates a light called removing heat. This light can awaken the immoral and cause them to maintain pure precepts and determine to realize a teacherless path, inducing sentient beings to accept moral precepts and to purify the practice of virtuous actions, and causing them to be inspired to seek enlightenment, is how this light is made. It also emits a light called adornment of tolerance. This light can awaken bad-tempered beings, causing them to get rid of anger and divorce conceit, and gladly be tolerant and harmonious. When the violence of beings is hard to endure, to be removed in mind for the sake of enlightenment, it always happily extolling the virtues of tolerance is how this light is produced. And then it talks about how this light can be made, how this light is produced, how this light is formed, how this light can be made. And so there's also a light called peace, where people no longer have anxieties. And it causes them to let go of those anxieties and instead turn their face towards the light of truth. And I can't articulate it well, but I'm sure it's in here, where it creates
Uh,
sanity.
I think it's in page 350.
Oh, good. I had just made that up, but okay, where is it?
I think it's the third one.
All right,
It
read
also
that.
radiates a light. It also radiates a light called peace. This light can illumine those who are ill and cause all pains to be relieved, so all can gain the bliss of right concentration. Dispensing medicine to cure afflictions, anointing with precious life prolonging perfume, giving butter, oil, honey, and milk for nourishment is how this light can be made.
I thought you were going to say this one. It also emanates a light called fearlessness.
Yeah.
This light shines on those in fear and causes a speedy annihilation of all inhuman harmful things, being able to give freedom, to give beings freedom from fear, exhorting and the ceasing of all affliction and injury encountered, rescuing those in danger, the orphaned and the helpless, is how this light can be made. All right, so what's your question?
So
I
it's
have a
on
question.
the
Where is
page-
this light emanating from?
I think it's from this is a supreme concentration called peace and bliss.
Okay.
It emanates from that. I think it's in page 346 where all these type of verses start.
Okay, so it's from a particular concentration or meditation. Okay, good.
Yeah, so my question is in the page 348. It is in the verse, I think second verse, lamp of wisdom. So there is this line called explaining that all things are empty with no controller, no self. What do they mean by no controller or no self?
No controller and no
Is it
self. Exactly what it says. But the other verses are much more relevant for you. Yeah, this is just talking, this is Heart Sutra, the emptiness of self, the emptiness of phenomenon.
The emptiness
Like
of
illusions, like flames, like the moon reflected in the water. Okay, look, so imagine here's a mirror, all right?
Okay.
And over here, a pencil sharpener appears here, right? And then a stick appears. And then a little thumb drive appears. Okay? Is there a controller in the mirror?
Now it's
Is the mirror
reflecting what's
affected by
there.
any of that?
Sorry, I didn't
Is
get
the
you.
mirror affected by whatever passes in front of it? No. Okay. Is the mirror full or is it empty? Or does it not even, that's a wrong question to ask about a mirror.
Yeah, it's a wrong question. It doesn't even make sense.
Exactly. So
It's
you're
just
asking the
image.
wrong questions. Because you're acting like that you are affected by all of this, but you're not. You seem to be. You're all caught up in the misery of your human individual self and your individual. Like I said, the universe is one bright jewel. So the mirror is unaffected by what occurs out here. I mean, there could be a world war. It doesn't matter. A universe could be born and destroyed. Doesn't matter. How many worlds could be reflected in that mirror? An unspeakable, uncountable, unfathomable, number of worlds could be reflected here. It doesn't matter. It's neither empty nor full. You never talk about that this way. And so that's a metaphor, the mirror. Do you see what I'm saying? Does the mirror have a self? Not particularly, no. Now, these understandings come with time and with effort and with dedication. And you can't, if you shortchange yourself, all you do is shortchange yourself. It takes effort. It's like becoming a doctor or becoming an engineer. There's work that you have to do. And if you don't do it, you just won't be an engineer, or you won't be a, whatever, a surgeon or whatever you want, or a chemist or a writer or whatever. There's, in this world, it takes effort and dedication and perseverance. Did you see that I tweeted the Roman virtues?
Yeah.
That's something you should be asking about. What is virtue, and how do you stand with regard to virtue? I mean, not in the moral sense or the Christian or Hindu or Muslim sense, but in the sense of that which you need to stand on your 2 feet in this world and represent. I mean, you're a human being. You're not a bird or a woodchuck or a squirrel. And you're on Earth. You're not on some other planet. So you got to take yourself seriously, or you will suffer more than you need to. It also emanates a light called tranquility. This light can awaken the scattered-minded, ADHD, causing them to detach from greed, anger, and folly. With their minds unstirring and properly stabilized, abandoning all bad associates, meaningless talk, and impure actions, praising meditation and solitude, this is how this light is produced. Yeah. Okay, so is that clear though? It's the wrong question to ask about a mirror, just as it's the wrong question to ask about God or reality. Now, we have expedients to help people, especially in the beginning, when they still believe in their personal self and they still are living by some lifespan in terms of years, and they're still thinking of this world or the house that they're in is the center of the universe. Those people have, there's ways to help them in the beginning, but then there comes a point when they have to pick up their own backpack and start hiking. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the true medicine for anxiety. And I'm speaking now, I mean, I was a psychiatrist my whole life. Man, we tried every medication you want to think of for anxiety. And all of them have side effects that you really don't want. Addiction being chief among them. And just ends up causing more suffering. So, and I'm not telling people to second guess their doctors or whatever. I'm saying, that in general, the treatment for anxiety is mastery. But mastery doesn't come cheap, doesn't come easy.
Mastery of what?
Of your mind. Yeah. Of your fears, of your anxiety, of your ignorance. Fear comes from ignorance.
Okay, so about that.
Okay, go ahead.
About that, what do you mean by mastery of mind? Like, do you mean exploring where the fear is coming from, analyzing?
It doesn't matter where it's coming from. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. No. Just to tell a thought from a to tell a thought from. Okay. One has a thought. Oh my God, I could get hit by a car and get crippled. Now, that thought may be very adaptive if you're about to walk into traffic. It could be true if you're in front of a car that's going too fast. But absent those two situations, those fears have very little place. And there's a difference between the thought and the thing, although that starts to go away too. So you learn to ignore your thoughts. I mean, people have all kinds of horrible thoughts. I mean, if you've ever read minds, you know what I mean. So you don't want to give them power they don't have inherently. Like the thought that you should have pain when your wisdom teeth come out. All right, that's a thought. It so happens you didn't. All right, it doesn't matter now, and it doesn't matter for other people. Apparently, they say it is painful or whatever. What is that? It doesn't even matter. It's not unimportant. The mind is basically thoughts and feelings, memories and fantasies about the future. Learn what they all are, and then learn to put some space between you and them. They aren't you. You are not your thoughts in any way that should cause you to suffer. But that takes some work to get to.
My only problem with that is,
as far as you're concerned, you're the
sometimes
center
when
of the
these
universe. That's the problem. If you're honest about how you experience the world, you experience the universe as being just this thing that surrounds you and your mind and your sufferings. And you contract and contract and contract into that.
I don't want to. I know what you say. I'm like, things are bigger than me. That's what I do at work. But sometimes when
They're
these
not
feelings
bigger than
come
you,
in,
but the false you, the deluded you, the mistaken you, the ignorant you is not you. But see, you don't even know that. So what are you supposed to do?
just try my best. Try to purifying practice chapter or anything. But
There is no trying. Just do it.
not, yeah, by that time I'm doing it.
See, but now we're
Not
talking about the
trying
hypothetical
as in-
future. Okay, all right. Well, so okay, now what? Next question. Obviously.
My only reasoning is I know all these things, yet the momentum of
No, you
that,
don't know them all. You don't even know the first one. You don't even know what you are. All you
I
know is a
know
bunch
what
of
I might
things
then.
you read in a Reader's Digest or something. I mean, you don't know anything. The world is not at all like you imagine. So you live in a world of suffering.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What was the question?
Yeah, my question is, I, like I had some insights and all, yet when these things come in, they have so much power that I cannot not get swayed by them.
Get what by them?
That I always cannot not get swayed by them. Like I always get sucked into these thoughts, or maybe that's a belief, that narrative that I have brought up. But
First of all, it is a narrative that you tell yourself. But who is it that gets sucked into it?
the one who is aware of all things right now,
No, you're not aware of
who's
all
listening
things. You're
to you.
barely aware of anything. You're barely awake.
What do you mean by that? I can still see,
Until you
hear,
know who you are, you can't really say you're awake, can you?
No.
All right, that's what I mean.
That's-
So you say, oh, my thoughts get caught up into this vortex of thoughts. And you act like that's of some consequences, of some consequence. So your mind gets tripped up, your mind gets caught up in mine, and then you wonder. But I'm saying, look beyond your mind. I mean, good God, do you know how much space there is in this universe?
My
We
question
can put
is,
all
how
your
can
thoughts
you
in a
look
little,
beyond
we
your
can put your
mind?
thoughts in a shot glass, basically. And then we have, I don't know, gazillions and millions of light years, just for the sake of it right now, of space for these little thoughts to be in. Just let them go.
my question still is, how can you look beyond your thoughts when you genuinely feel that you are going to die right now?
That's what the sutra is about. That's what the study is about. That's what the practices are about. That's what the mantra is about. That's what the prayer is about. That's what the teachings of Jesus or the teachings of Buddha, that's what they're about. But it's not easy. You think it's easier than it is. It's more like going to, a rigorous graduate school for most people. And you can't put in like 30 minutes, and say, oh, well, I've done my work for the 24-hour period. You got to take it seriously. You got to be a serious man, or you're going to suffer. And you won't be alone. I hope I'm not being too hard on you, but I don't think I am. I'm trying to shake you and wake you up. But I can't wake somebody up. They have to, the sleeping must awake the sleeper somehow. That's what the Sufi books are about. It's why you were born. But you've gotten lost in the world, in the world of thoughts and your mind and, cover girls and all that other stuff. It's not you in particular. It's mankind. Okay, sir. Any further questions?
No.
Oh, there's got to be one more. I don't want to leave it like that. Well, maybe you should... have you thought about this book? No, this will scare you.
I read
Never
it.
mind. You did?
No. I think you recommended me way back. I read some of it. But
Oh,
not
you didn't
fully.
get all the way to... Did you read the living part or the dying part? Some books should be read cover to cover. This one, it's forgivable. Sogya is, Sogya. But okay, nothing else, huh?
No.
All right, so listen, you've got the problem that all of mankind has. This has been a problem since we have written records, probably since before then. Okay? You're not alone in this struggle. In a way, you're more fortunate than others because you suffer a little bit, you suffer from your mind more than everybody else, although it's probably about the same. It's just different configurations. But God gave you a good mind, and you'll suffer if you waste it, because that's not a good thing, to waste a good mind. And you've got a good heart too, so what are you waiting for? A good heart, a good mind, you got everything you need. You may want to keep the Sufi series. Have you read the Sufi series?
I've read the Tales of the Wishes, and I was reading Commanding Self.
All right, so you need to start with learning how to learn and go through the whole series. All right? There's not a rush, but you need to go through that. There's a lot of wisdom in those books. And a woman or a man needs wisdom in this world, especially with what's coming up. It's going to be fun. There's hope reawakening in the world, in the Western world. So let's see what happens. It'll be fun. All right, sir?
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
All right, go with God. All right? Take good care.